Hey, what's up? Okay, I'm sure you all know the story about Benjamin Franklin, flying the kite with a key attached to it, to prove his theory about electricity. But did you know that story is completely made up? Yeah, Franklin proposed this, but it was some guys later on with poles in the ground, lightning rods, that proved that he was right. So the question becomes why? Why would somebody make up a story like that? Here's the thing is, Franklin himself made up that story. So why? Why would you do that? I mean, it's not like he just padded his resume. I mean, he's Benjamin Franklin. He was already rich and famous before the Revolution ever came along. If the American Revolution had never happened, or if he hadn't been involved in it so deeply as he was, he would still be remembered today in the same way that you remember, John Milton or P.T. Barnum. He was that level of famous. He's the one who got, Thomas Paine started. He was the first person to publish Common Sense. But he didn't want to be remembered just for pithy little sayings like early to bed, early to rise, makes man healthy, wealthy, and wise, and a penny saved is a penny earned, a stitch in time saves nine. He didn't want to be remembered for just that kind of stuff. He wanted to be remembered for what he felt like was his one contribution to real science, which was his theory about electricity. He wanted to be remembered in the same way that Galileo and Newton were remembered, like scientists. And realizing that some guys standing next to poles in the ground wasn't a very romantic image, he cooked up the whole kite story in the hopes that it would get passed along and people would remember him for it. And boy, it sure worked. Because over 200 years later, it is one of the myths of the colonial founders that we still remember and is still widely believed. These days we know that Parson Weems, he was Washington's biographer, made up a lot of those stories about Washington, like chopping down the cherry tree or throwing the silver dollar over the Potomac, whatever. But people still believe the kite story, even though it has no basis in fact whatsoever, which kind of goes to show how good Franklin was at spinning yarn. But just thought I'd share that with you.